lesson number 21. We're going to do a little drawing of this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our pencil. We're going to sketch kind of where things go. I want to put the barn further away. You have this as a display picture, hopefully. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to put the barn, I'm going to make it a little smaller, put it further away. When things are farther away in landscapes, they are a little lighter in color. The black isn't quite as dark. And this tree is nice in its location, so we've kind of got this nice straight, level landscape here. I might tilt this a little bit. And this group of trees is going to be off further away. So I want to give it a little bit more contrast as far as size is concerned. So I'm just going to do a sketch of this tree here. And I'm going to do this very dark so you can see it. What can I do for you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. What's that? Yeah, you can rearrange this how you want. I want this composition to be a little less of a rectangle and have a little more contrast inside from this tree that's going to be closer and the barn that's going to be further away, creating a little bit more of a triangular shape to the composition, making it hopefully just a little more interesting. I'm just going to sketch this tree in here a little bit. This should be kind of dark. And I'm not drawing the tree. I'm just doing placeholders for drawing the tree. This is not a drawing of a tree yet. It's just a mess. That's all it is. It's just a mess that looks like a tree, kind of. So that's kind of the basic tree structure there. And then a little smaller out here, I'm going to put this barn pretty far away. I do not mind if you simplify the barn. You do not need to draw it with photographic accuracy or specific accuracy to what you're looking at. It's a dilapidated barn. Like the school's barn? These openings on the bottom, I'm just going to leave those out because that's a complicate. I'm going to simplify this just a little bit. So I'm just sketching it in here and have things placed where things go. So we get our structures in there. We got these trees in the background. Just going to kind of put those. They're pretty tall trees compared to the barn. That barn looks like it's floating. That kind of does in the picture too, though. Huh. I don't know what this is out here, but in the background, I'm going to put a little bit of a hill. There's going to be some fog back there. So what we're going to be talking about today is how do we create that foggy effect in a landscape? And there are probably a lot of different approaches, but that's what happens next. I'll reach off screen here and grab I have my blender ready. I have another blender. I have an eraser. I have my dark pencil here. You can use your dark pencil or you can use your graphite stick. The graphite stick is great. And we're going to put just a little bit of graphite down around here. When I'm doing background colors, whether it's watercolor or graphite drawing, I want to look at my picture and see where it is going to stay light. Now, like I said, I left out these little white windows down here in my sketch. But can I go through all of this and have a medium gray color behind it? Yes, I can, because nothing in front is lighter than that. Does that make sense? This is a rule in watercoloring. So if you know you've got trees going on top of your green hill, and the green hill can be played into the tree, you actually don't need to leave it white. If you need something to be white and stand out, you have to omit pigment there. You don't really want to be doing extra erasing. So basically everything in the background, I can do the background completely first. I've got a little highlight in here. I can achieve that with erasers and things like that. So it's a planning ahead thing, really applies to all kinds of painting. Who's got the same? There we go. Oh, and a Kleenex. You should have this, like, That's fine, that's fine. So we don't need a ton of this. We're not doing a full toned paper. This is connected to our tone drawing. I'm going to take a little bit of my graphite stick, make a little bit of the powder. I'm going to tap it into places where are kind of dark, and even the back of it's kind of. There we go. I'm going to take your Kleenex, kind of pull the corners together and turn it into a bit of a loofah. You don't want to be laying it down this way and spreading and doing that. It actually doesn't, it's not very effective. You want it to be a lot more localized like this, a little loofah, like I said. And for that, the mountain effect in the background, I'm going to use an up and down stroke. Most of the things that are growing in this landscape are probably growing vertically. So I'm going to use mostly a vertically shaped stroke there. I'm going to actually just use the Kleenex right on the sandpaper lightly and pull off some of that because I don't need to do too much more. There's my trees here. There's some fog, gray fog out here, very, very lightly. It's really, really hard. Now, this is a forgiving method, the toned paper. We talked about that before. If you don't like something, you can kind of just tone it out. Now, that's mostly true, but when we have certain things like that we want to be really light on, it isn't as forgiving. So you want to make sure it's not too dark on there if you're just doing background stuff. You can always add a little bit more. And because it's a atmosphere sort of thing, I'm doing kind of a horizontal sweep with the graphite, with the Kleenex. And I'm blending it in over here because that's a little darker. Okay, now we've got this nice muddied look here. Yes, sir. No, that's workable. That's workable. So with either your graphite stick or your dark pencil, we can actually start drawing some things. There is another thing that you're going to need for this drawing, and that's going to be a piece of paper to go under your hand, because this happens. I want you to be disciplined about this, regulated about this. Disciplined indicates some kind of consequence afterwards. I want you to be regulated about this, meaning keep the paper under your hand so it doesn't smudge your drawing, or because you can get this part of your hand really, really, really dark. So keep that scrap of paper, yes, and you can use half of it, whatever, and it's going to stay under my hand. The barn is supposed to be further away. It's going to be pretty light compared to the tree. The tree is going to be a little less light. I'm going to sketch some of these trees back here. I'm going to use my extra black drawing pencil. I'm going around this barn as I'm going here. Do you think these trees are in fall or in spring? Fall? Fall is generally pretty foggy. What's that? Notice how much lighter the branches in the picture get as they get further away. I'm kind of comparing on this versus that. They do get, as they get further away, they do get a lot lighter. So that's where my blender is going to come in useful. I can actually use the blender to draw them. I'm going to pick up some graphite from my sandpaper and put it onto the blender. I'm going to test it out on a piece of my paper here so it doesn't get too dark. I'm going to use the blender just like it's a felt tip marker to draw some of these trees back here. I have too many pieces of paper under this. It's not creating a nice surface for me. Let's swap this out for my clipboard, which has a nice surface. It needs to be hard enough to create resistance enough for your pencils. barn might be too dark. If it's too dark, I'm going to go back over it with some an eraser and lighten it up a little bit. I think it should be fine though. That's fine. If it's looking like a house, that's fine. Just go with it. For the side of the barn, I'm using vertical strokes. They are lighter as they get closer to the middle of the page. They do seem to be lighter. I'll throw in a little grass over here. And actually I'm going to use an eraser for some of the grass blades. This is a nice thing you can do with these erasers. So you can see these marks here. I can kind of blend these ones in with some pencil marks with the sharp edge of the eraser and create a little bit of a different foreground texture there. So that mixture of the erased onto the toned paper and the drawn blades of grass, I feel like give it a nice texture of a lot of different stuff in there. All right, this corner is looking pretty good on the page. Keep working my way across. I might not have enough time to do this whole drawing today. There's some dilapidation happening on this barn here.
It's very broken down.
Not very. Very enough.
I have seen worse.
I have seen worse too.
I've seen ones crumble to the ground. Yeah. Our barn was worse at one point. It was a lot better now, but it was like completely falling apart when we had it. It was awful.
Got some holes in it. Pallet line leaned up against it. Even though this is a foggy picture, light is coming more from the right than the left. So the right side of the tree is going to be lighter, the right side of the barn is going to be lighter. And those are things to keep track of as you're drawing something, is to not forget about the light source. Also, the eaves of the far side of the barn will be lower than this side of the barn because the barn is taller than you, and that has to do with the vanishing point. What's that?
I didn't understand what you said.
That's fair. The vanishing point.
I understood that, but what you said about the barn.
The barn?
Yeah.
The barn is taller than you.
Yeah.
When something's taller than you, something like the top of the barn, like here versus here, this will be above this because the barn is taller than you. If you're taller than the barn, it changes the angle. Or if you're up a tree or up a hill or something looking down at it, the angles change. And we talked about that at some length for the first couple of lessons this term. Did we not?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Let us look at the door. I don't think he was here.
No, I understand. It's stuff that I might have to re-go over to make sure that people know. 1 point perspective, 2 point perspective stuff. Really 1 point perspective even. The principle is there in all perspective drawings. That was a what?
The sneeze.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't, actually.
Pretty sure that's what no.
Pretty sure that.
I think I sneezed.
Pretty sure that's not how sneezes sound.
Because I try to force him to be quiet. Don't do that.
No, never force it.
You are allowed to have a loud sneeze if you want. You're also allowed to have a quiet one if that's what you want. But if you need to sneeze and make noise, everybody else does. You should have the same right.
Have you heard me when I sneeze? It literally cannot be worse. I sound like an old man, Justice. Like 16 times more.
My mom sounds like a gun. Somehow it sounds like a cannon going off. It is so loud.
Poor flashback.
She used to live next to me, and she would sneeze, and it's like, "Wah!" And you could hear it through, like, whatever part of the house. It's just this. That's really bizarre. Yes. So I'm trying to keep this thing below my hand. This is coming together. It looks better in person than it does on the camera.
It's too foggy.
Okay, use your eraser if it's too foggy.
Tried.
Okay, and if you want to go with it, you can learn from it, or you can start over.
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Don't throw it away. Don't throw it away, because it's evidence of work. It's credit, even if it doesn't look good. Even if it doesn't look good, you can set it. You can get credit for it. Emmeline.
See, that house just was unlucky. The dog consumed it. He cried just straight out of work.
It wasn't even, so I added more.
I couldn't spread it out anymore.
Oh no.
It takes practice. It's all right.
After that,
Emily. Yeah.
I need a one.
Let's see if I have one. An alcohol wipe.
Yeah. I made a little bit too much.
It happens. Some weeds here in the grass. Weeds do generally kind of cluster together, so you don't have to try to distribute them evenly across all of the they clump. And when I was younger, I used to think I had to do them all evenly across everything, and it looks better if you don't do that, actually. It's interesting. That's coming together nicely. It's really not a Bob Ross sort of a vibe to this picture. It's really happy little trees. I don't know if this is so happy. This is not the happiest. Fog is beautiful, not necessarily happy, but it is pretty. I'm not going to put this structure in here. I'm going to leave this structure out. I don't know what this is, and I don't really need it to make the drawing interesting. I'm going to put some of these thin trees, sapling trees in here. These are pretty close to the foreground. I have these, looks like fall because they've held on to certain parts of their foliage, like the stuff off the end there. Not before you use them. I mean, yes, they are before you use them. But it looks like it did very well for you.
It worked all right.
Well, based on the results I see on that, it looks like it took up a lot. So I'm doing the background first. I'm kind of leaving this tree for last. The grass in front of the tree is probably going to be actual last. No, back to the tree.
Where do you want to put the flash pencils when we're done?
Oh, good question. I will take them back. So I want you to put them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time to clean up. With all the mess we've got. It's yeah. So I will stop this recording.